It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Tuesday, July 30th. I'm Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom, brought to you by Wyoming Senior Olympics. Don't miss the action at this year's Summer Games from July 31st through August 4th in Cheyenne. For more info and a schedule of events, visit wyomingseniorolympics.org. Governor Mark Gordon is trying to take a stand against out-of-state influences in Wyoming politics. His Prosperity and Commerce Political Action Committee, or PAC, has come online with a new website called Trust But Verify Wyoming, harkening on former President Ronald Reagan's famous slogan. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that the PAC has drawn criticism for its endorsement, or lack of, for a certain sector of the legislature.
Gordon endorsed 49 people on his website. Not one of them is a member of the Wyoming Freedom Caucus, the farther right group of Republican legislators in the Wyoming House. Talked to chairman of the Freedom Caucus, John Baer. He said that was significant, and he believes it kind of shows the governor's political leanings. He also found it hypocritical that the website really criticizes out-of-state influences in Wyoming elections, yet Gordon's PAC has received money from pharmaceutical giants Merck and Pfizer in the past.
The out-of-state influences have been particularly busy during the 2024 primary election cycle in Wyoming, sending out a flood of campaign mailers and text messages targeting candidates for state legislature races. People in the military won't have to eat lab-grown meat anytime soon, after all. The U.S. Department of Defense had put out a public call in May requesting proposals for sustainable food and materials to reduce emissions related to military operations. But after intense pressure from groups like the National Cattlemen's Beef and Wyoming Stock Growers Associations, as well as logistical issues, the agency backed off, according to business reporter Renee Jean.
This product is extremely expensive. According to one of the articles I read, one chicken nugget costs like $50 each. Right now, it takes 20 to 25 times more energy to produce this kind of meat.
A Purdue University survey in April found that most consumers who buy chicken and beef products view conventionally produced meat as tastier and healthier than lab-grown meat. A man who stopped an attacking grizzly in British Columbia, Canada by punching the bear in the face was just as good as he was lucky. That's what some experienced Wyoming outdoorsmen told Outdoors reporter Mark Hines. They said while it's possible to fight off a grizzly with a stout punch to the snout, it should only be an absolute last-ditch tactic.
In this case, it was a defensive attack on the bear's part. The bear was just trying to protect her cubs. So one good smack to the nose was enough they're just like us. They've got a lot of nerves there. It hurts really bad. It was enough to startle her and scare her off. If the bear had been really determined, like if she was actually like a predatory attack, probably wouldn't have worked.
Rather than throwing punches, experts recommend playing dead, using bear spray, or shooting the attacking animal. I'll be back in just 15 seconds with more news.
In southwest Wyoming, wide open space is waiting. This is how we explore it. In Rock Springs and Green River, Wyoming. Plan your adventure at explorewy.com.
It's one thing to come face to face with an angry grizzly bear in the wild. Facing one again after already having been mauled before is the ultimate test of facing one's fears. That was the experience Northwest College wrestlers Kendall Cummings, Brady Lowry, August Harrison, and Orrin Jackson got earlier this summer when they sought out grizzlies in the Alaska wilderness for a documentary about their famous 2022 encounter. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson spoke to Cummings about the experience.
Kendall Cummings, who was one of the two people mauled in that grizzly bear attack, said this has really helped him overcome any fears he had remaining about going out in the backcountry. He was bluff charged twice by some of these brown bears up in Alaska, but yet he held his ground, and he is actually even planning on doing some guided hunting trips this fall. So it shows he's really kind of overcome what fear he had left.
A trailer for the movie will be released this fall, which will be followed by the film company shopping the movie to streaming companies. They hope it could start airing by 2025. A gas station company whose Rock Springs outlet had a mix-up earlier this month of diesel and gasoline in its fuel tanks has apologized and is encouraging anyone with issues to call its customer service team. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland says the Come and Go Corporation is offering to pay for any repairs necessary for vehicles that may have been affected.
So they dispatched a very apologetic statement and their customer service line saying that anyone who has issues can give them a call, get that verified, and then get reimbursed for repairs. They said that when they found out, they shut the pumps down immediately. And they also said that customers that they knew who had bought from them, that they started trying to contact them and give them the heads up.
The mix-up persisted from about 1:45 the afternoon of July 16th through 11 a.m. July 17th at the Come and Go store on Foothills Boulevard in Rock Springs. And the Lander-based Wyoming chapter of the satirical organization, the Ancient and Honorable Order of E. Clampus Vitus, will do something entirely serious Saturday when it dedicates the cemetery at the historic ghost town of Jibo. According to Cowboy State Daily's Jackie Dorothy, many of those graves hold children who died in the coal mining town, many of them from epidemics.
I personally got interested in the Jibo Cemetery from a story that I heard. This gentleman was coming every single Memorial Day to Thermopolis to put flowers on the graves of a little girl and a little boy. There was a diphtheria epidemic that went through Jibo, and there was a limited supply of vaccines. And by the time they got to his house, they only had vaccine for one child. And his parents had to make that heartbreaking decision. And they chose him, and he was 5 years old. And ultimately, his baby sister and brother both passed away from the epidemic.
The public presentation of the Jibo Coal Camp dedication begins at 11 a.m. Saturday at the Jibo Cemetery. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the daily newsletter button on cowboystatedaily.com. And you can watch this newscast every day by clicking subscribe on our YouTube channel. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.